Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I see more and more joining us live. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Amazing to see you all joining. I'm in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Where are you? Where are you all located? Introduce yourself in the chat. I want to hear from you all. Just write a comment when you watch on YouTube or on Facebook or Twitter. Just say where you're joining us from. I want to hear from you. It's an interactive webinar, so feel free to take part in that. And I already see here's Serena. Hello, good to see you. And I'm sure more and more will continue joining us for today's webinar about how to find a tech job during a pandemic. Very current topic and super interesting. So before we get started, I wanted to quickly introduce myself and our team and organization. So we are SheSharp, a tech nonprofit based in the Netherlands, focused on fostering diversity and inclusion within STEM and entrepreneurship spaces. We host monthly events, now online, but we are now also trying to branch out. Besides that, so last year we launched our mentorship program, which was a huge success. We try to do that again this year, so stay tuned for that. And aside from that, we launched our online community on Slack. So if you're interested in joining that, please go to shesharp.co/Slack. And that brings me to today's festivities. My name is Zina. I'm one of the co-founders of SheSharp and manage the events. And together with me, we have 7 amazing people on the board of SheSharp. We have Amanda, who's our director of communications. She's the face behind the great social media. So make sure to follow us everywhere at SheSharpNL. And if you like what you see today, just tag us, use at SheSharpNL or the hashtag SheSharpNL. We love to see what you take away from this amazing webinar. We also have Sarah, our director of tech. She's responsible for our website and all the technical aspects that are necessary to keep our organization afloat. We have Emily, our director of partnerships, and Ada, our internal collaborator for events, and our new teammates, Christina and Gabby. Christina is in charge of operations, and Gabby, who's supporting us in growing our community and communications. Okay, let's dive into today's topic of how to find a tech job during a pandemic. I'm super happy to partner up with OfferZen for this event. For those that don't know OfferZen, it's an online tech marketplace for developers and was actually also founded by developers. They operate in South Africa and in the Netherlands. OfferZen has released their Netherlands. So OfferZen has just released their Netherlands developer survey results, which covers skills, tech trends, like what languages and frameworks are most common, salaries, causes for job satisfaction or dissatisfaction. So if you're interested in reading this, click on the link that we share in the comments right now. And now, happy to talk about our speakers of the hour. I'm very happy to introduce Simone and Ellie, tuning in live from South Africa. So let me quickly give you some more background information about them. After completing her honors degree in psychology, Simone joined OfferZen as a talent advisor, helping developers in South Africa win their job search. She was part of the team that established the OfferZen Tech Talent Marketplace in Amsterdam and now works with developers across the world looking to find their dream job in the Netherlands. Simone has worked with hundreds of tech candidates and has a good understanding of the tech talent scene and dynamics. Personally, she is interested in mental health in the workplace and how this can be addressed to improve overall employee well-being. Simone is joined today by Ellie. Ellie has a master's degree in industrial psychology and a bachelor's social science in psychology. As a talent advisor at OfferZen, Ellie is massively focused on empowering candidates through their job search. She is a self-proclaimed coffee addict with a love for helping people contribute to the world in a positive way. When LA isn't helping makers level up in their job search skills, she's most likely obsessing over her dog Rosie, doing a yoga flow, or watering her ever-growing succulent collection. But not all at the same time, obviously. During that talk, feel free to post any comments or questions that you have directly into the comment section, and Ellie and Simone will address them at the end of their presentation. Okay, enough of me. Now over to you ladies to kick things off.
Cool. So yeah, Sina, if you want to share the presentation.
We'll get going.
Cool. So first off, I think Ali wants to just introduce our little nugget that you can get out of this really cool presentation besides the knowledge.
Yeah, I think I'll just sort of kick off with OfferZen is very well known for our sort of marketing merchandise, also known as swag. And today you can actually win this beautiful Slothernaut shirt that I'm wearing now, also known as Astro Sloth. There's been a lot of debate over which name is better, but I quite like the Astro Sloth. But yeah, please apply and share it around. It'd be really cool to get as many people in. And then yeah, this is the awesome prize that we'll be winning. Well, you'll be winning today. I already have one. But yeah, just to kick off, we're going to be obviously chatting about how to land a tech job in a pandemic, as we are. Sina obviously already introduced me most of the part, but I'll just kind of give a little brief overview. I've been working at OfferZen for the last 3 years. I originally started in the South African marketplace, and then last year, pretty much just when lockdown happened, we moved into launching in the Netherlands, and we've been operational there for like almost a year now. And yeah, I've been helping grow and build our marketplace. And during this time, I've helped over 300 developers successfully find their next job. Sim, you want to take it away?
Cool. Hey guys, so I've been an European talent advisor for just under a year. Or it might just under a year still. And previously I was a talent advisor in South Africa. So I just have extended knowledge on different marketplaces. I've got over a year of experience in the tech recruitment marketplace as well. And I've spoken to candidates from all walks of life, all trying to win in the tech job search process. So that's around 500 candidates in the past 60 days, all looking for a new role. And you know, during COVID-19 is just like the biggest add-on that you could ask for. So yeah, hence I just have knowledge that can assist people in acing the tech job search. And with just COVID-19 happening, that will be a part of it as well. So yeah, but we want to hear from you guys. We're really interested to know what you've gone through during COVID-19. So what is the one thing you'd like to learn that would help you in your job search? You know, having experienced the pandemic hit and what you've noticed to be hugely different in that job search as well. If you just want to pop it in the comment section. And then, yeah, we'll pop it on up. We'll give you some time. Just like a few points we were thinking about. Definitely less opportunities. Companies having to like rein in a lot. That's something that we've really, really found as big.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I think also one of the things that I've noticed, and we'll make reference on this throughout the thing, but it's like a very high barrier to entry into a lot of job searches. The first step or even like CV phase being really difficult to get past, more so than it was previously. We'll give you some insider knowledge as to why that is. But yeah, we're curious to hear from you. What is the biggest change that you've noticed while you're plowing through the job market at this time, or at least over the last year and a bit?
Are there any questions that you could share with us, Sina? Yeah, I mean, definitely something we found. As I said, it was like the first thing I said. It's just the economy's taken such a hit with everything having gone to a complete halt. So definitely hear you there, Michaela. Yeah. Cool. Any other cool? You want to take this one, Ali?
Yeah, no, I've also heard a lot. We mentioned this later on, but companies just not being as flexible or having lots of room to move individuals within organizations. Often budget restrictions or budget cuts cause it to be retrenchments. I think retrenchments was probably the theme of last year. The amount of individuals that I worked with that had gone through it, was definitely significant.
Oh, yeah, very much so as well. I mean, candidates being afraid. In terms of, I'm just curious there, are you talking about the companies have immediate availability, or you as a candidate would have immediate availability? I don't know how we can find that out, but I'll tackle the one. In terms of like a candidate having immediate availability, that would definitely be around like retrenchments and just losing your job for no other reason other than a company going down because of COVID. And yeah, in terms of the other way around, I don't know if you wanted to comment on that, Ali.
I think I'd actually like us to get a little stuck in, because I feel like some of the answers to these questions lie in our
getting a bit too carried away, and then you're gonna have all the juice and you're gonna leave us before we end. So yeah, we'll jump right in, and then if you guys have more questions at the end, you can definitely drop them in and we'll go into them. But just heading back onto the topic at hand and what we had to tell you guys about it. So first things first, why is this topic important? So we found that 67% of companies are freezing or reducing hiring since COVID-19 impacted the market. What we go through today will definitely help you as a candidate ace your job search, definitely in a COVID-19 world. And this doesn't matter in terms of your year's experience or your education. There are ways around this that you can hack it and tackle your job search in this like remote marketplace. A bit of a tongue twister. Cool. So another thing we found is that, tech roles are still in high demand, but the playing field has definitely changed. There have been significant changes because of COVID and with our world becoming a lot more remote. And with these changes, you may just self-sabotage your process without even knowing it. So we just want to make sure that anyone in the job search process is set up to win, even in this like crazy new remote world.
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking forward to getting stuck in. So what you can expect from us today is basically there's going to be 3 parts. The first part is we're going to talk about these COVID-19 impacts, how they've changed the hiring scene. Then we will be looking at navigating the hiring process, tackling everything from first step all the way to past beyond tech assessment. And then finally, giving you just some practical tips that you can apply when looking for your next position.
So how has COVID changed the tech recruitment marketplace? The first thing is that, as you've already pointed out, the market has been oversaturated due to people being retrenched with the impact the pandemic has had on the economy. Secondly, the bigger mix of candidates. I mean, there are a lot more candidates who are concerned about their current role stability, and thus they're taking to the job search as well. And this is just going to mean that there's a lot of high quality candidates. These are people you would assume are very proactive thinkers in their own career goals and where they are in their career currently. And they will be very aware of the current role stability that they're in. So those will be the people taking to the market. So basically, the market has become oversaturated with a lot of people looking for work, some very desperate, some not that desperate, but with a lot of candidates of very high technical quality.
Yeah, 100%. I think basically, on the candidate side, there's just TLDRs, there's a lot of competition. But on the company side, what we've seen, and it's kind of the reverse, is that actually companies are going through budget restrictions. So where a hiring manager might have had the range to hire a team of 5 within the year, they're now looking at only being able to hire 3. Companies are really trying to lower the risk of making any hire, because not only is it costly in time, it's also costly in expense. You don't want to make a bad hire and necessarily have to then rehire or make another hire. So what this basically means is that it impacts a hiring manager's mindset when they're going through the interview process with you, but it also impacts your job search. So how does this impact the hiring manager's mindset? Well, as we've said, oversaturation means that there are a lot of candidates in the marketplace, all variety of quality, some available immediately, some that are not. And what you can imagine is, as a hiring manager, I'm going through hundreds of CVs for one position. And not only am I then, going through all of these CVs, but I'm also having a lot of pressure to make sure that those that I do interview and the person.
Oh, I think Ali might have frozen.
Oh, interesting. Am I back? Sorry.
Yeah, you're back, girl. So we just.
No, not load shedding. Sorry.
Yeah, the wonders of South Africa not having electricity, because I don't even know why.
So what happens is loads of CVs, lots of pressure. Basically, hiring managers experience decision fatigue. And they're also now trying to make sure that those that they bring into the team are not going to disrupt the dynamic that is already fragile. You must understand, a lot of companies didn't even know what remote was before COVID. And now they've had to move their entire team remote, the whole company's remote. Everyone's trying to figure this Zoom thing out. And now you want to bring someone into the team. Like, the pressure to make sure that that person is going to positively contribute is enormous. And so basically what happens is that the sort of standard that is expected of candidates, and what you guys need to do, or girls, is that basically you need to make sure that your CV and the way that you show up in the interview process is of a higher level, so that you can really show them, like, listen, from the start, I'm the best person for this job, because there's so many people out there. Sim, do you want to go? Yeah. So. Cool. Why that's happening? Okay, I'm back. So what has been your biggest struggle in looking for a job since last year?
So just pop your question in the comments again.
Yeah, potentially, like, within the hiring process, have you been able to get into interviews? Have you been rejected? What is the most
stage?
Yeah, we're curious to hear, what has been your biggest struggle. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, it's a completely different ball game. How do you show someone your key? It's very weird. And then if you're in South Africa, it's all the internet issues. It's like, you're talking to someone and you lose them like halfway. It is a very weird way to connect with someone.
Yeah, and I think a lot of hiring processes rely on body language and just kind of, like that humanness that we now completely learn. Yeah. So now it's just a little box, and we've got to get as much information. And I think sometimes, when you can go into an interview and into the office, you get a sense of a company and their vibe. And now you have 3 interviews all from the comfort of your own home, and you've got to make a decision if you want to. I was going to say, I think a lot of individuals can hide behind the COVID-19 banner.
Yeah.
We've got so much going on. But I think in the beginning, what I saw was basically just a whole bunch of interview processes stopped dead in their tracks. Companies were like, oh my word, we're going remote, freaking out. And so giving feedback to candidates was the last of their priorities, let alone, trying to move forward in the interview process. So, definitely. Yeah. And via your network, I've often recommended to my candidates that are struggling in the search to really rely on their internal networks. A good referral goes an exceptionally long way, especially in COVID, because also it helps give a culture signal to the company as well. If someone that they know vouches for them, then it definitely helps to kind of move forward.
Cool. So just want to jump into sort of practical tips. I mean, we've all been talking about the problems we've been experiencing, but now how do you hack that? So the biggest way that we can make sense of it is, how do you stand out? Yes, the GIF is hilarious and ridiculous, but if someone can remember you, it's worth it. So yeah, you can dive straight in. Cool. So basically, first of all, you need to reflect on the kind of pressure a hiring manager and a company must be feeling at this time, just considering everything around COVID. As a candidate, you have to make the hiring manager's job a lot easier by showing up and answering these specific questions, 3 different questions that all hiring managers will be asking themselves.
what questions you ask. So from my experience, whenever a hiring manager is going through an interview process with a candidate, there are 3 things that they're looking for. And so the first thing is this candidate going to show up and put in the work to do this job? Can this candidate technically perform the job that I'm wanting to hire them for? And thirdly, does this candidate genuinely, emphasis on the genuinely, love my company as much as I do and want to work for them or work for us? And so the way that you can answer these questions and make it easier for hiring managers to answer these questions while they're going through the interview process with you is by doing 3 things. So it's quite simple. The first one is to show up fully, do your research, prepare. The second one is to show that you have the technical skills, be reflective, show that you have a passion for learning. And then the third one is at every point possible, show that you are passionate about the role and the company itself. We'll get more into a little bit of detail after this.
Awesome. So practical tips on like a very real basis. So now that you've got that mindset ready for this challenge, because you've listened to Ali's expert advice, how do you practically ace your job search process? First off, it's the CV. Making a great CV is important to counteract the saturated market, as this is the first thing that the hiring managers will see when they're introduced to you. So you need to make a good first impression. So how do you create a perfect CV? It's maybe not perfect, but it's our best advice from what we've seen and from a lot of research as well that went into our platform's creation. And so a lot of the information that I'll give to you is the way in which we the advice we give to our candidates when they're creating their own profiles. So first of all, you need to make it as clear and concise and as neat as possible. Because of the saturated market, hiring managers are looking at a lot more CVs at the moment. So you need to stand out, even if it's in ridiculous GIF form, and make it easy as possible to read through. So first off, you need to, or rather second off, you need to try and play into the hiring manager's expectations through your CV and make it obvious why they should have that first interview with you. Over here, it's going to be really important for you to think about the role you're applying for and how your skills match the company's expectations for this role. Just remember that your CV does not have to be uniform for every single role you apply for. So rather just depict on your CV what you would like to move towards within that specific company and make it as specific as possible, listing any skills, achievements, or experience that relates directly to the role in the company. It just really makes the hiring manager's life a whole lot easier. So there's a few crucial components to ensure that you're getting the correct information across in your CV. First off would be your priorities for your next role. So this is what you want in your jobs, like what do you want from your job search? Why are you leaving your role? What are you looking for next? Those are like the sort of questions you can ask. And your priorities can be around the role you want to fill. It could be around the tools or the technologies you want to work with or the projects that you want to work on. You can also include the following or make it more of a cover letter if you want to get more extensive but never go beyond a page. And with a cover letter, I would say half a page. What would you bring to the team? Your skills, your attributes, your experience. What is your goal for your next role? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to learn or build next? What kind of company do you want to work for in terms of the culture, the mission, the industry that company is in, and the environment that you would be looking to join? And then lastly, what is important for you to be successful in a new working environment? This could be benefits, perks, locations, working hours. Be honest about it. Be open. Tell them exactly what you need to win. And then the next thing that you'll have to add is your education. So I do need to stress that informal education can be added here. If you didn't get a university graduate degree, you can add any sort of online course that you've completed through something like Coursera is a good one, Udemy. Those are the most recognized that I've seen in the market. I'm sure there are more others, or there are others, but you just have to look out there for what those companies are looking for. And just ensure that whatever you list in terms of your informal education relates directly to the role that you are applying for. So if you're applying for, like, let's say a front-end position, don't put C#. I mean, it gives you a little bit of an in, but don't waste the space with C#, a C# certification rather than like an Angular certification, just for an example. And then in terms of formal education, if you have been to a university and you have studied, any formal university degree can be listed. So if you have like a Master of Arts, put that in. I mean, to complete a master's degree takes a whole lot of other things that hiring managers are looking for, whole lot of like aspects of you. I'm sure Ali can tell you how hard it is to get a master's degree. It takes a lot of work. And that shows your sort of proactiveness in your own life and your career goals and where you want to go. Cool. So now that you've got the first half of your page of your CV, go on to the next one. And this is where you can go into your work history. So this is very, very important to hiring managers because this is where you can really show off your experience. So here I would suggest adding any tools or technologies that you've used in each role underneath, as this will just show companies whether you can take that on that role or not, and whether you're a good fit for what they're looking for. It saves a lot of people time and it makes a lot more solid connections that way. So instead of just pasting a job spec, approach this section in a conversational manner. So it's like if you and I were going to coffee and you're telling me about your everyday work roles and responsibilities, don't make it so formalized, make it an easy read. And then another thing you can include here is any projects you've worked on, your daily responsibilities and any notable achievements. And then in terms of projects, we go straight into your own personal projects. If you're a tinkerer in your own time, add in these projects. It shows off your interest in the industry, your proactive approach to learning, as well as your skills that you may have not learned in your work history. You can always join an OfferZen Make event if you haven't ever tinkered or anything like that and you're quite interested. Basically, Ali and I were very privileged to get into a Make event. It was a lot of fun. We programmed an Arduino and we made our own little self-watering basil plants. Mine died, but Ali survived and she's got basil now. But yeah, we're not developers and I really enjoyed it. So if you want to check it out, you definitely can. I think that they're going to paste the link in the show. And yeah, just click on there and you can always join. It doesn't need to be a tie of any sort. It's just a fun event. Yeah.
I actually heard from Sina that we are having an all SheSharp Make event on the 31st.
That's so cool.
Pretty cool. But obviously, if you haven't gotten into that one, there are others that you can join. But please, it was so much fun. My basil's flaring. I call him Mr. Basil. It was so much fun. And
Cool.
also, you get everything sponsored by OfferZen. So it comes in an awesome pack. You get some swag. You get all the equipment. So there's basically no reason not to join.
Awesome. I hope you enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It also gives you ideas for your own project. So it's super cool.
Yeah, and then you get to network with other people who might have similar interests as you. Then it spins off. Yeah, I know the network effect is really beneficial because we can't see each other shoulder to shoulder anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to divert back to our presentation, basically I wanted to tackle kind of the first phase of the interview process. Simone set us up on how to set up a really killer CV. And I think I'll just add one tiny little asterisk for myself. PDF.
Oh God, yes.
PDFs, ladies, PDFs, please. Don't do a docx, do a PDF. It makes it easier for everyone involved. I've had candidates get rejected just because their CV is not in the right format. So don't sabotage yourself that way. But yeah, so the first phase of the interview process is really where you get your chance to shine. And this is where you can make a really strong first impression. And the way that you do that is to prepare. I can't emphasize it enough. The amount of candidates that I've interviewed where, you're asking them so what do we do? What's our business model? How do we make money? And they can't answer this question. Immediately, I don't want to move forward with this person. The way that you can find out this information, and I promise you it is readily available, you just have to do a little hunting. But go through the job spec line by line and find anything that you can about how they make money, what the business model looks like. Go through blog articles, look on Facebook or LinkedIn or any PR press. look for stuff that they've put out there, because the more that you know, the more you'll have to talk about with this recruiter or the hiring manager in the first chat, and it will set such a good tone for the rest of the interview process. It's not going to be difficult answering questions. You'll know the answers when they're asking you, and if they ask you a question you don't know, you can actually be confident enough to say, listen, I didn't find this in my research, let's discuss. Because you know that you actually did the research. So know what they do, know what their mission is, understand what they are making, and if there's anything new that they're working on, think about how you could contribute to that. The first impression really can make or break the entire interview process. And if a hiring manager has any doubts about perhaps your technical ability, if you show up in the best way, show, listen, I'm here, I'm ready to play ball, I'm committed, I've done my research, they're much more likely to move forward with you, even if there are some doubts about, perhaps, technical ability or your fit for the role. So Sim will carry on for the mid steps.
Cool. So you've got through to the mid steps of the interview process because you followed Ali's expert advice. Well done. Basically, the next part is super important to show up in. Obviously, it's the technical assessment. As Ali mentioned previously, the second thing that hiring managers are looking for in any interview process, and the question that they're asking themselves is, can that candidate do the job that is required of them? And especially for developers, technical assessments are the way that companies evaluate that. But companies are not just looking at your end solution. It is a common misconception that you have to get 100% on the technical assessment to win in that process. They're looking at your thinking and on how you got to your solution and whether that works in their own processes. It's not to say that you can score 45%. There are very, very odd cases where that still works out as an interview process. But, it does happen. You don't have to get 100%. Just explain your thinking. If you have to send an email afterwards and just say, hey, I got a bit confused at this point. These are the gaps in my knowledge. This is where I think I need to upskill, but I really enjoyed, going through the assessment. This is what I learned from this. This is what I enjoyed about it. Someone reading that will just recognize your reflective skills and how you can reflect over your own skill set. That's what the company needs. They need you to notice your knowledge gaps and just think about whether you want the opportunity enough to bridge that gap. You don't want to waste anyone's time. It's just making awful connections in your career. So if you don't like the opportunity enough to learn what they need you to learn or to upskill to, then rather produce a plan on how to close those gaps just in an open and honest way. Otherwise, just close that, just close that process. So it's rather a solid connection that has been made, and possibly in the future, you may engage with them, and then it's a good connection that you can pull on. Either way, rather make friends in this process than enemies, I would say. But definitely just be reflective the entire time that you're going through it.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned about the tech assessment process is that there's an entire world around the assessment, and you can really tap into that if you feel that perhaps your technical assessment might not be that strong. It's about what it will be like to work with you, not just what you've sent as code. So really think about how you would work in your team, how you would ask questions, what assumptions you would state. That's what's really important as well. Sorry, I just wanted to comment my little 2 cents as well. So the final step, the big one, often the one that we get quite nervous about as well. And so by this point, I've mentioned showing up fully. We've talked about showing that you have the technical ability. And the final, one of the most important components is showing your enthusiasm and genuine interest in the company. And so we've mentioned, this whole remote world, you only really have so many touch points with a company, right? There's email, maybe the company sends you a couple WhatsApps if they're pretty cool. And then you have your Zoom chats. That's it. That's the whole touch points of who you are, how you communicate with them. So use those touch points to your advantage. Every time you're speaking with a company, don't be afraid to let them know how excited you are about the fact that they reached out to you, how excited you are about the fact that you have your first interview, how much you enjoyed the previous interview, how much you're looking forward to the next feedback. I know this can sound like a lot, but if you only have, 10 touch points with a company and they have to decide whether to hire you, making sure that you are overemphasizing your enthusiasm is really important, because enthusiasm breeds enthusiasm. If I'm speaking to 4 candidates and they've all gotten to the final step, and the one candidate has been like keen the whole time, and everyone else is kind of like played it cool, waited for like me to reach out, like it just sets such a better tone. I'm more excited to work with this person, and I believe that they're more excited to work with me. Even if it's not the case, maybe those other people are like dying to work for my company, but I don't know that. How am I supposed to figure that out if you don't tell me? So genuine interest, use every touch point. Don't be afraid. It's okay. I know that like in the dating world, it's not cool to tell people that you like them. Companies are not the same. They love to be told you like them. But I do have to caveat all of this. Don't pretend or lie. So in the final step, this is where it will trip you up. If you've been pretending throughout the process that this is like your dream company, and actually, you're just desperate to find a job, and like this is just like the one that you have, it will come out in this step. And unfortunately, in most cases, you won't move forward. So really be reflective, show your genuine interest, and don't like try and make up things, because it can trip you up in the end. So the final tip that I have, and it's rather controversial, not a lot of people do this, but it's something that I have seen to save a lot of my processes during COVID. And it's, you've gotten through the whole process, you're super keen on this company, you've been doing this interview dance, and you finish your final interview and you're like, okay, I'm ready, give me this offer, please. And you're waiting for them, to essentially send it to you. They do that classic, oh, thank you so much, we'll be in touch. Don't wait for them to get in touch. Message them. Let them know, listen, I've loved this interview process. I love your company. I love the role. If you guys made me an offer, I would seriously consider accepting it. Or if you've discussed, maybe the monetary part of it or the benefits and everything is aligned, you can say, like, if you send me an offer based on what we've discussed, I would sign today. I promise you guys, girls, this can be one of the golden nuggets that can often make or break an interview process, especially going with the theme of there are so many people in the job search process. There are so many people that are high quality, people who are immediately available, which is a huge bonus for a lot of companies. Saying like, I'm here, I'm ready, please can I sign on the dotted line? Like if I'm choosing between 2 people and I have doubts about one, best believe I'm going to pick the person that's like, I'm keen. Because like I said, it just follows through the whole process of companies feeling reassured that this is the right hire, rather than maybe being like, okay, let's go with the person that we have some doubts about. Don't give them any doubts. Answer the questions. Let them know. It really can be kind of like the golden ticket through the process.
And also, I think it's a misconception that there'll be no space for negotiation after you've expressed excitement. Companies understand that as a human being, you have aspirations and needs, and they'll understand what sort of benefits and goals you're looking for. As I said earlier, that, you really need to put out there. So you can put a salary expectation. The negotiation stage is still to come. It's not like that email that you send saying I'm keen means that as soon as they send you an offer, you have to sign it. That doesn't mean that at all. You still have space to negotiate. There's still ways to go about it. Just being reflective with the company and being open and honest. If you can take anything away from today, just being open and honest throughout the entire interview stage, or process rather, will help you so much and save you so much trouble. And I promise you, it will get you further than you think, even if you admit to not knowing something. So, yeah.
I think, Sim, you also mentioned in the CV section, like state what you need to be successful, like be clear about what you're looking for. Like if you've said this in your CV and then you like have carried it through the entire process, like there's no room for, oh, we didn't know this. You've been honest, you've been forward. And so, yeah, it won't be a surprise if you're like, I'm looking for a 32-hour work week. If you put it on your CV and they accept it and you've gotten to the final stage, like it's there. So, yeah, honesty is sort of the best policy, I guess, as always.
Cool. So Yeah, in conclusion, on top of that, basically good isn't good enough anymore. Hiring managers, they need to know that a candidate is going to love working for the company and that you're going to work well with the team and blend into the culture. This is important because, as you know, companies are bruised and battered right now. So employees and teams are fragile. They need to make the right decision and make that decision really easy for them to make.
100%. I think, we've mimicked this over again and I can't communicate it enough, but like companies just want to know that this person is present, is there, is keen, is ready, will put in the hard work. Like no one wants to hire a slacker, you know what I mean? So put in the preparation, show up the right way, be reflective of your skills, show them your passion for learning. You don't have to tick every single box to be the right person. You can tick every single box and bridge the gap with motivation. Like that's the way to go. So we really wanted to share these tips with you because we want you to be these candidates in the job search process. We want you to be the one that's elevated and stand out above the rest. And we hope that this presentation has given you adequate and relevant insights into how to do that so that when you're in your next job search you can land your job in a pandemic.
Cool. So yeah, we'll be taking questions now. There's already one up there. Ali, do you want to take charge?
Yes, I'll take this one. It's my favorite. Tips on how to negotiate. So you want to be careful when you're negotiating that you don't want to try and negotiate on too many things at once. You want to try and make sure that the thing that you're negotiating on really is the deal breaker for you. And if it really is, if there's genuine, understanding like, listen, I need this salary because I live a certain financial standard, I have a family, we have school, this is what I need. And that's you being honest, then that's okay. So the kind of best way that I suggest kind of sandwiching this negotiation advice is to first always thank a company for the offer. Always, express the fact that you're super interested in them, reiterate what value you feel you can bring to the specific project or the team or the company, depending on what level you are. And then you kind of open the conversation and say, there is a certain part of the offer that I would like to open up for negotiation. And you say that because of X reasons, this part of the offer is not feasible for me. And you need to give as honest and as open a sort of perspective as to why it's not feasible for you. If the company really likes you, human to human people, connection, they'll understand what you're saying. And then you sort of make a really good suggestion, like if the offer were to be have this or include this or be at this amount, this would be perfect for me and I would be really happy to work for the company, sign this offer and accept and join. So it's kind of like a sandwich between, a lot of fluff and like the yay, and then open the conversation and then kind of sandwich it again with showing them that you're still committed and that if they meet you where you are, that you'll meet them where they are. I hope that answered your question. Don't know if you want to add anything, Sim.
I mean, honestly, following Ali's advice, Ali taught me about negotiations. So when I joined OfferZen, she was still I think 2 or 3 years my senior. So I learned from her. So if you take that advice, I mean, all of the candidates I've worked from have benefited, plus Ali's candidates. So definitely follow Ali's tips there. Just in terms of the university degree one, as I mentioned earlier in the CV sort of part, your formal education, as I said, if you have a Master of Arts and you want to be a software developer, getting a master's degree is crazy. It's difficult. It's wild. And just the sort of dedication and the work and the energy and the proactivity it takes to do a master's degree, as Ali will tell you, it's hard. So that shows a lot about your character already just by putting in Master of Arts, just that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people underestimate sort of the life skills that going to a university teaches you. It's writing, it's verbal communication. That already, usually individuals that have an honors or a master's are assumed to have a higher level of communication in that level. They're also known to be more responsible, more dedicated. They can handle multiple tasks. There's a lot of soft skills that come around being able to get a degree. And so if you have a master's, it signifies that to a lot of individuals, and you can add that into your soft skills part, organizational skills, being able to time manage, stakeholder management, written and verbal communication, and it will vouch for you. So even, I'm working with a developer at the moment who's got his master's in script writing. So I've seen it all. It's definitely still 100% valid.
So this is my favorite question ever. I asked them to pull it up because literally the job search is so similar to dating. It's crazy. So yeah, it literally is, as Gabby, I think, said, it's like playing it cool, but you also want to let them know you're keen so that it might happen. It really is like dating. So in terms of follow-ups, we have the magic number of 3. It's something we follow that works quite well. If a company hasn't gotten back to you after 2 solid follow-ups of you going, I'm really excited to continue with this process. It's been amazing so far. Please let me know an estimate on when you could get back to me and we could continue. Eager to hear from you, stay safe or whatever. Like that will go a long way. First of all, you'll pop up on the hiring manager's list of whatever, email, message, or LinkedIn. And they already reminded of you. And if you keep doing those follow-ups, if you do it twice and then another time by closing the loop on the 3rd time, and then you do it again, I would say you're wasting your time. Rather close the loop nicely on the 3rd time, and then understand that that's just maybe not the best fit for you.
Yeah, what I would say is usually your first one, you would say hi, I'm really looking forward to the feedback. Please can I know how many days or when I will expect this feedback? Just a light follow-up, no pressure. Then the second one, if you haven't heard back, maybe you can add a bit of playing it cool, and you can say I know we're all really busy right now, but I just wanted to check in and let you know that I'm still keen. And then I would break it up with the 3rd message, which is closing the loop, but still leaving it open. So you can say to them hi, I haven't heard back from you after our final step or our mid step, and I have followed up twice. Based on the fact that I haven't heard back from you, I'm going to be closing this interview process. But I would still love to hear back from you. If you do have the role open, please let me know, as I was really interested. So you're kind of letting them know listen, bruh, you guys, I'm not wasting my time anymore, but I'm still open, and you're kind of showing your higher level of communication. And it's kind of a poor reflection on the company rather than on you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Definitely the 3rd follow-up, don't try anymore. You're wasting your own time. And it's, as we said earlier, it's very, very easy to hide behind the COVID curtain. You can ignore someone over email, but when you ignore them at their face, it's very awkward. In terms of the advice around building good public profiles like LinkedIn, I would follow the exact same tips. If something like LinkedIn, they already have it set up for you. I would fill in everything LinkedIn suggests, unless you really can't, because LinkedIn also has very extensive knowledge and research behind what companies get more attracted to. So fill it out. This presentation, if I am correct, will be available to you guys. You can go into that CV creation a lot more. The notes are in the presentation, so you can see what we've spoken about. And you can go into, work history, you can look there on how you can just set it up in your LinkedIn profile. But everything on the LinkedIn profiles already have been researched. So just trust them.
Yeah, if I may just add my 2 cents, I do know that LinkedIn sometimes does an autobiography for you. Don't do that. Do your own one. Don't just let them summarize experience in IT field and the skills. It's really boring, and I promise you they're not going to read it. If your title is software developer 2, change it to JavaScript front-end developer or Node.js, whatever, because I have a few recruiters that have shown me how they sort of word search on LinkedIn, and they often search by skill or job title. So no one searches software developer. They will search for the skill that they're looking for, front-end, full stack, back-end. So it's okay if your actual job title is software developer on LinkedIn. Just change it because you'll come up in more relevant searches. And then the final one is, don't add every single skill in the history of forever. Just include the ones that you want to work with and that you want to be reached out to for. Because if you have everything, you'll see in the software developer nation, if you've worked with PHP and you don't want to work with PHP anymore, don't have PHP on your profile, because you will get reached out to for PHP. So that's my sort of additional tips. Do you want to take the contacting someone you don't know on LinkedIn, Sim?
Yeah, of course. So tips. This is something I've done for myself, like in my own hobbies. I found someone extremely interesting on LinkedIn in terms of my own hobbies and my partner's hobbies. Very interested in coffee, and this person is like into cars, into coffee. He's into tech, and he was also into plants and animals, and it's just everything I was interested in. And I had some ideas around starting like a little coffee truck or something like that with my partner. Still in the mix. But either way, I just connected with him. I just added him as a connection. He accepted. I mean, I accept every single connection that adds me, because who knows? One day that connection might prove worthy of your time, or maybe you can help someone else out as well. And that's really awesome. It's an awesome outlook on like furthering your career. So just reach out, just send a message. Obviously, give context. Don't just send a request. It'll look a little bit awkward. But in terms of like the message, LinkedIn has a little option. You can say, I'm really interested in this part of your profile. I'd be keen to discuss further for these reasons. Let me know on this email address if you would like to chat further. If they don't reply, don't cry yourself to sleep. It's not the end of the world. There will be someone else who is super interested in like furthering your dream goal and your career goals, as they're probably very interested in it as well. There's 7 billion of us. There's a lot. You'll find someone. Just continue trying.
Yeah, I think don't be afraid. Just be human. And I like the fact of commenting on something like personal in their LinkedIn profile. Like if you see if they're following something or interested in something else, that's a nice little touch point. That kind of weeds out the masses of like, hey, let's be friends.
Cool. And then last question, you want to go for the top paying companies, but you also want to work in a healthy, supportive environment. Is it possible? It's probably possible, but it's a give and take. I mean, you're going to want something more than the other eventually. Like if your mental health is suffering, but you're super rich, like which one do you want to prioritize? And there's no shame in prioritizing money. There's really no shame. I mean, if you have that opinion on life, it's absolutely okay. It's your life. But don't try and like get too much out of the situation. Don't try and overextend yourself and a company. They're also dealing with a whole lot of other things, a part of their processes, and you don't want to make bad connections. Rather go for perhaps 2 years of a healthy, supporting environment, and then 2 years of a really well-paying environment. You can change as well. I would say under 2 years, it looks like job hopping, but over 2 years, especially in the Netherlands, like change it up, get some more experience, go chase your different goals. It's absolutely okay.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen, like the unicorn companies are the ones that have it all. But often you need to find some kind of equilibrium, often the top paying companies are like that for a reason. Sometimes they know that they work their developers really hard and they expect exceptionally long hours from them. And that's just the way that they are. Sometimes you get companies that pay really well but don't have the same sort of expectations. I think they are harder to find, but usually, as Simone said, you need to just figure out what's your main priority. And if you're getting a good salary in a healthy, supportive environment, it's often better than like a top paying salary in one that's going to potentially negatively impact your mental health.
Definitely agree. Sorry, yeah, there was actually one last question. So yeah, how important cool. So how important would you say projects are to have if you're new to tech? I mean, already, yes, very much. 100%. Projects, get involved in like OfferZen Make. It's a way that you can connect yourself in the community. Next thing you're interviewing with the company that hires through OfferZen and you're like, hey, I joined OfferZen Make. And if not, then you have a really cool little product or little project that you've done that you can show off. And I would highly, highly suggest involving yourself in projects that you're actually interested in. Your passion in the way you talk about it will come through, and that's what you want to get out of this, because you want to boost that you are proactive, you are interested, you've just not had the chance yet to enter this industry for whatever reason.
Yeah, 100%. I can't emphasize enough what a great sort of representation of your skill, your commitment to learning, and your passion for what you do is a side project. Like, it's the creme de la creme of like, this person loves to do what they love to do, that they've even done it in their own time. And it can be as small as Simone's referenced, someone who made a chess timer, who built, an online sort of chess timer. And I've had a candidate like try to build like a flying beer tray. And I mean, I don't know if he was successful, but he tried. So really, you can get as creative as you want, and it can be as small or as big. And I think if you can connect with people in the community, maybe you both have the same interest and you can build a project together. That's also super cool. It doesn't have to be something you've done on your own. You can, work in teams.
And yeah, getting onto LinkedIn, that's a great way to put your name out there and show that you're very proactive, because that's going to stay on your profile. And a hiring manager will look at your LinkedIn profile. No matter what your CV looks like, they will look at your LinkedIn profile. So yeah, definitely do something you enjoy, get keen about it. Otherwise, you might be setting yourself up for a worse lose than if you just didn't. So yeah, cool.
Yes, I also highly recommend putting your portfolio online. +1 to rain there, definitely. So yeah, just to close off again with our swag competition, please, please, please fill it in. We'd love to share our branding and our Astro Sloth with you. He's pretty cool. I've had this guy for years and he still looks brand new. So definitely.
Yeah, good quality shirts, sustainable, products.
Yeah. Super old. So, they're definitely a treat to have, and then you're officially part of the OfferZen clan.
And post it on LinkedIn. Tag us. Show us like your fancy outfit. The best is getting a candidate show us a photo in their new shirt. It's the absolute best. We share it with the whole company, and everyone gets excited.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. I also have one of the T-shirts, and I love it. So it's really nice. So sign up for that, everybody. And get your T-shirt as well. So yeah, thanks so much, Ali and Simone. It was an absolutely pleasure to listen to you two and your amazing presentation. I think everybody found it really, really valuable. I see like comments in like, thank you, loved it. And we have like participants from all around the world. I saw somebody from New York, from California, France, Amsterdam, South Africa. So that is really amazing.
That's so cool,
right?
Special shout out to the girl in France. Hi, Steph.
Is that Steph?
Steph was one of our previous presenters. So be sure to also follow up on that webinar. It was also really, really valuable.
Thanks for coming, guys. Thank you so much for hearing our info.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And yeah, so for everybody out there that is not following SheSharp yet, make sure to do so. Follow us everywhere on social media to stay up to date. Join our meetup group, so meetup.com/SheSharp, where we post all our events and updates. Our next event is coming up, as the ladies mentioned, on the 31st of March. It's a make event with OfferZen. And after that, 14th of April, we have an event, a webinar again with Elastic. So that's also going to be a very cool, interesting, interactive, again, webinar that is not to be missed. So yeah, again, thank you so, so much for joining us. It was absolutely a pleasure to have you, Ali and Simone. You're amazing. And to you, everybody out there, thanks for watching. And we hope to see you again next time.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, please to add Simone and I on LinkedIn, just mentioning the how do I reach out to people. We'll happily accept. And if you have any questions that we didn't answer, we'll happily answer afterwards. Thanks.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Bye, guys.